All right, so we're standing inside this camp trailer now, and basically some of these panels were a little bit rotted. Mostly this trailer's being remodeled. Some of these shelves have been pulled out. There was massive amounts of holes in the wall, wires where we didn't want them, all that stuff. So we moved around some wires and have done some repaneling. And so basically what we're trying to look for today is to figure out the best way, or recommended way, at least by me, to remove this paneling. So this front section we're going to tackle today, um, we're doing this for a friend of ours. She didn't like that some of this stuff still had some holes in it, was looking a little rough. And then over on this corner right here, it's definitely rotten a little bit. It's soft. So to get this thing tip top, we've already done the wall. We've already done the wall. Those are primed. That's why they kind of look a little bit white. And this part over here, you can see hasn't been primed. This is just $12 a sheet. I forget what this is. It's like I think they call it utility plywood from Home Depot. It's kind of nice thin paneling, but really inexpensive to use. So let's get started on this. We're going to start by cutting out around all the edges so that this panel hopefully will pop out in one piece. So to begin removing the panel, you want to go ahead and cut around all of the edges. And so we'll kind of get those loose right up inside those corners, the perimeters, but try to keep everything whole as much as possible. Let's try not to break up the panel and see what we can do. So you can use a razor knife if that's what you have. If you have an oscillating tool, you can use that, and it works just about like this. All right, so the tool that I like for this job, I call it a love bar. It's a miniature flat bar. I think this is probably about 7-8 inches long total. Real thin, small. You can kind of see it compared to the hand. It's not a real big bar, right? But I call it a love bar because you can give it a little love and delicacy and removing stuff instead of the brute force of some of the big ones. So let's give it a shot. Let's see if we can pop this panel off in one piece because that's going to be our hope. Might go rough. Let's see. All right, so it wasn't playing nice. Getting underneath those edges was kind of challenging. So I went ahead, punched a hole. I can still trace this out. I didn't really want to mess up the edge, so I punched a hole, and we're feeding the love bar up and behind here with hopes of getting it to kind of start popping out a little bit somewhat neatly. And so far, not so good, but we're going to keep doing our best shot. All right, so panel did not come off cleanly. This one's not coming off cleanly either. Um, well, this one looks like it's going to behave, but I think by the time we get over to the corner of the window, I think it's going to start behaving again. It's not very dependable. But you can kind of see there's stuff here. There's little bits of wood and stuff left behind the paneling because it was too soft. So a lot of that stuff is just worth just kind of scraping it with the claw of your hammer. Use a chisel if you need to. Usually a hammer will kind of do it, depending on how well it's glued on. But you can kind of start getting some of these little chunks kind of loose here. This corner over here, you can kind of see this. It's got nothing for me to nail into when I put it in there. And so we're probably going to have to kind of go up alongside this or just fill in with a 2x2 from the top to the bottom. Give me a little something to nail into when we go to put this paneling back, because a lot of times from factory they just run it all the way through onto the stud that's on the end. In this case, yeah, it's probably 1.5 inches thick or 1.25 inches thick stud over there, but it's not making it all the way through to the thickness of this wall that's coming up into it. All right, so that's pretty well stripped and clean now. It's looking pretty nice, and I'm gonna go ahead and tackle, oh, I'm sorry about that, on this corner right here, and this corner right here, what I would call from the building trade sheetrock backing, but in this case, it will be paneling backing, so watch this. Other side, here we go. All right, so where these wires are coming out, I really think it's going to pinch them too hard if I just jam this board in here. So we're going to go ahead and mark it, take it over to the saw, cut a little notch out just to make sure that we don't cause ourselves any problems. All right, notch. Let's go let the wires through. I can't seem to get this right. Screwing these screws up. Try to get this one right. All right, ready for paneling, so I'll measure it and bring back piece. Never just take one measurement. So we're 23 and 3/8 overall, but we're 91 and 7/16 across the top part, and across the bottom we're 91 and 3/16. And so we're going to try to split the difference on that bottom a little bit, because it's hard to tell exactly which side is coming in, but we'll split the difference a little bit, and that should make it to where it's nice and caulkable in the corners, or we can trim it out a little bit. Everything will look good. So it's about freezing out right now, so I'm spending a little bit of time with one of my best friends, Mr. Heater. He's my buddy. Don't forget construction adhesive. If your staples want to kind of fail and give out a little bit, this will still have its back. All right, so quarter crown stapler, weapon of choice for most people doing paneling. Go ahead, and it kind of actually has a crown on the staple that actually keeps it from shooting through so far. So light touch and set your depth shallow. And it should hold on really well. I'll finish stapling this. So I marked ahead of time where the center of these studs were. And so now when I get all done with this, all I have to do is go over to the edge, measure where that mark is. That one's at 14 and 3/8. And so I go down, as I go down the wall, you just go push it in a little bit, 14 and 3/8. And that should work great. All right, next piece. I wonder if there's something that fits these corners that I can just match up to. That is really close, but it's still not quite big enough. Get out this little guy. I think that's pretty much a match. I'm gonna use that. All four corners. Apply paneling. Then we need to put on the actual window frame that goes on the inside and keeps the window secure. All right, so we got the window frame going up. Just fit it all into the old screw holes that they put in there from the manufacturer. In this case, I just kind of see if I can slide it through. And then find the hole that it went into before and start screwing it in. That's all there is to it, and that pinches the window into the wall. It pulls the outside one to the inside frame, pinches it in the wall, and it may not hurt to redo the seals after you've loosened these windows, but that's up to you, how old your trailer is, how good your seals are looking. All right, there it is. All paneled out, window framed, knobs back on, and I got a little bit of a gap up there at top. I'm gonna have to go ahead and put a trim piece on there because the trailer just wasn't too even. So even with good measuring, it doesn't sound, or it doesn't look great. But it'll look good when I'm done. So caulking, trim, it'll look finished.